How's it going, Miami Dolphins fans? It's your man JT back, and I am here to discuss position by position breakdowns for the Miami Dolphins. Training camp is coming on. We are ready for the preseason. We are ready for some real, actual football. And of course, we are just about 4 weeks away from the NFL season kicking off in September. So I thought this was a perfect time to come out here and kind of make these videos breaking down the team position by position as we head into the 2018 season, starting with the quarterback position, which is always one of the most important, if not the most important position when it comes to football. If you have your guy at quarterback, you can get a lot done, and a franchise quarterback is what every team in the NFL is hoping to build around. The Miami Dolphins have four quarterbacks. They have Ryan Tannehill, they have Brock Osweiler, David Fales, and Bryce Petty. Now, first, my overall thoughts on the quarterback position is the Dolphins have enough. They have enough. They have enough at the quarterback position from the starter, who is enough to win, and I'll get into more of that later. They have decent enough backups. They're not great, but they're also backup quarterbacks. They are there if you need them. They could play a little bit, but you don't really trust them over a 16-game season or as the faces of your franchise. So that's a little bittersweet in a sense that you do have, maybe a little bit more than the bare minimum at the position, but you do feel like there's a little bit more you could want. Another thing is there's no real, outside of David Fales, young guy that you are developing, or maybe a future option, even an undrafted rookie that you could put a little bit of hope into because you haven't seen what they have. You have guys that you pretty much know what they are. David Fales is a little tiny bit of a wild card. Osweiler, Petty, Tannehill, you kind of know what you have. Now, kicking off, of course, with the starter, Ryan Tannehill. This is, he's an above-average quarterback, and he's very good. And one of the things I talked about earlier that has been kind of weird and frustrating to me is every year in the media, and even Dolphin fans get into this, we have the is Tannehill going to become elite debate, and the answer is no. Like, he's going to become an above-average, good, solid quarterback, which is what he's always been and probably always will be. Now, it's not elite, and that's why I've been open to the idea of adding young quarterbacks or even drafting young quarterbacks and taking chances on guys, because you never know who you might pick up some guy in the third or fourth round and they're the next great thing. And if you can upgrade the position, you should always be open to that. But that doesn't make Tannehill a problem or Tannehill an issue. We only do this with the quarterback position. If you had an above-average wide receiver, yeah, you'd keep adding wide receivers to see if you get better, but you wouldn't be like, oh, wow, all our problems are on that guy. No, he's still pretty good, and that's Tannehill. Tannehill is going to give you more than enough to win. I've seen far worse quarterbacks get deep into the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl, and win the Super Bowl that either were worse than Tannehill or really, over the course of their career, were not any better. So just because Tannehill isn't going to just suddenly become Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers one day, that doesn't mean he's a problem. That doesn't mean he's not good enough to win, and that doesn't mean Dolphin fans shouldn't be excited that he's back. David Fales is right now listed as the number 2, the backup. He's worked a little bit with Adam Gase. I think he should be the backup. He played Week 17 last year. He's had, maybe by default, the strongest training camp of all the backups, but again, probably by default. But I think there's, still a little bit of room to get better with David Fales. Like I mentioned, I think he's the only guy that is kind of a wild card. I don't think he's in it, just become some great starter all of a sudden, but I do think you can groom a pretty decent backup out of him. Bryce Petty, coming over from the Jets. Hard to say he's going to make the team. I'm not really sure. The answer is probably not. But obviously he's been given a chance in this training camp. And now heading into the preseason, we'll probably see plenty of Bryce Petty. And maybe just a camp arm. But also, Jets aren't exactly the greatest franchise the last 10 or 15 years. So maybe there's something there where a new setting does a lot for him. And lastly, Brock Osweiler, formerly getting paid just under $70 million, that contract, now getting a bare minimum contract with the Miami Dolphins. he's competing for that backup spot. He also has a lot of connections to Adam Gase and experience there, but he hasn't had the best training camp. Maybe the last 4 or 5 days, I've heard a lot of him turning around. They had a big scrimmage thing on Sunday in front of the fans. He did the best there, I heard. But before then, he had about 4 practices and threw about 5 interceptions. So it's Brock Osweiler. So like I said, that's pretty much my thoughts. You're good enough. You have a good enough starter. You have good enough backups. And that's about the gist of the situation. And it is what it is. And the hope for Miami Dolphin fans is that's going to be more than enough, as I mentioned beforehand. So let me know what you guys think about the position down below, and I will talk to y'all next time.